Hey everybody, Jim Sammons here, the Kayak Fishing Show live. I hope you hated that intro as much as I did. You may have noticed our music was, our normal song wasn't there. All of a sudden, I'm getting hit with copyright claims on my show. And I'm trying to figure out what the issue is. I think it had something to do with my former producer not taking care of the guy who wrote the song. I'm not really sure. So I'm trying to get that sorted out. But until then, I just added some crappy background music to that intro. So, yeah. So if you're wondering why, that is why. So anyway, we are brought to you by all these wonderful sponsors across the bottom. Hopefully, I'm going to see a bunch of them next week at iCast. Sorry we weren't here at all last week. Had just seems like one thing after another going on here. Biggest one was internet, cable, TV were all screwed up, and I just couldn't do anything. So anyway, I did manage to get one live just using my cell phone, and because I got that new NAR kayak, and I'm really looking forward to get that on the water. Probably won't though until I get back from iCast. I mean, unless I can sneak out one day this week, which is doubtful. But I'm looking forward. Everything about that boat looked so good, and like I said, all the reports on it are so good. So really looking forward to actually getting that out on the water. So if you are new to the show, we are here every Tuesday and Thursday, or most Tuesdays and Thursdays. I won't be here next Tuesday and Thursday, or the Tuesday and Thursday after that, because I'm going to iCast, and then I'm staying in Florida for a few days and going fishing. So, which will be the first time I've fished in months and months. So I deserve it. But anyway, we are here every Tuesday and Thursday airing older episodes of the show. I actually was looking at this and I'm like, man, this looks really familiar. Like I aired this one once already, but I think what happened was we aired like part one of it, and then we changed networks over to Fox Sports, and then we aired the second half of it. So, or it got re-edited for Fox Sports, but it came up in my list of episodes as an episode for the season. So we'll just, if I'm airing it again, I'm airing it again, and that's the way she goes. But Tuesdays are kind of the newer stuff with Jackson Kayak. On Thursdays are the really old ones from the Ocean Kayak years. But again, these sponsors down below are the ones who keep us doing these shows. And hopefully I'll have some good meetings at iCast and we'll be able to make some more, which I'm really looking forward to. Before I get going, went to my buddy's, I posted a picture. Went to my buddy's fish market here in San Diego. It's Tommy Gomes, the fishmonger. He actually has a show on WFN, and great guy. And he just opened this market recently. So if you're in San Diego, great, super fit, fresh seafood, seafood salads, ceviche, all this stuff. Absolutely wonderful. I don't know if you guys have ever had it. I had never had it, but we picked up some monchong. I had never bought it. I had heard good things about it, and he posted that he had some, and we picked some up, and it was delicious. Kind of a cross between, I don't know, halibut and white sea bass. So super light, flaky, delicious flavor. Also picked up some Opa. If you've never had Opa, we got Opa bellies, and delicious. The bellies just sliced it into small strips, like little fish sticks almost, about maybe a little over a quarter an inch, between a quarter and inch and a half inch thick, and throw them in a pan, hot pan, no grease, no oil, no nothing, because they're so fatty. Just salt and pepper, and cooked them in the pan. And let me tell you, so freaking good. So freaking good. So if you've never tried Opa or Opa bellies, I highly recommend it. Absolutely delicious. We also had fresh oysters, so we picked up some of those. It was kind of a seafood day. So I had the oysters, Opa belly, and then the monchong. And just like I said, just really, really good stuff. And I mean, as fresh as you can get. I mean, the boats come in right in front of his shop. So that's Tunaville down here in Point Loma. So what else? Before, like I said, this episode was shot in like 2016, 2017 in Brazil. I was with Esteban Gutierrez, my buddy, who we've done a lot of shows with. He arranged this, and fishing the Amazon basin for peacock bass. It was honestly a tough trip. We'd actually had the trip scheduled, and then because of high water levels, they canceled and rescheduled it for when the water would come down. And so unfortunately, when we went, it was still pretty high, even though they had rescheduled it, hoping the water level would go down. It was fairly high. And what happens when you're there, if the water level is too high, the fish are just out in the trees. You could literally hear them crashing on bait way back where you couldn't actually get to them. So that made it very, very tough. But you could cast up in there. Problem was, if you cast up in there and you hook up, it was immediately wrapped around a tree and would break you off. So you had to try to hope to get them out or get some of the fish that were along the edges. We caught a lot of fish. We didn't catch any real big ones, but it was still super fun. And just, I mean, we're so remote. We fly in on a float plane and then have this floating lodge that would move upriver. And I've flown in plenty of float planes, and it's always fun. It's always cool to land and take off on the water. But to land on a narrow river, a windy narrow river, I mean, that's a whole different thing. It was really wild. And again, part of the adventure. It's quite a mission to get there. I remember, of course, the way I flew in, I flew way past and then had to come back. When I came back up through Peru and then back over, and it wasn't nearly as bad. But when I went down, it was just an insanely long trip. But again, well worth it. We did conventional fishing, we did fly fishing, and just had a really, really good time. Now, remember, of course, that you can ask questions on here. Give us your questions, comments, share these with your friends, give us the thumbs up, any of that sort of thing. That really helps with getting the reach on the videos. We air these on Facebook, on the Kayak Fishing Show page, on our Kayak Fishing Show group page. I highly recommend that you join the group and participate in the group. That way you're much more likely to be notified of when we go live. Also on Kayak Fishing Tales, our YouTube channel, and hit subscribe and hit for notifications on there if you want to be notified of when we're going live. It's a better system than just trying to watch them just through the Facebook page. The Facebook page, and I've mentioned this a million times, notifies less than 1% of our followers. So though I have 172,000 followers, they literally notify less than 1% of the people that we're going live. So, but if you're a member of the group Kayak Fishing Show page, or the Kayak Fishing Show group page, or again over on YouTube, you're much more likely to be notified. And again, if you share this with your friends and all that, that really helps. But again, so I'm just going to get this episode airing. And again, what I'm going to have to do is mute the sound on the intro to the episode, just because of these copyright issues and because I can get shut down. So if you hate the music of the intro, I apologize and hope to get that sorted out. And for this part, it will just get muted. And hopefully that alleviates the problem for a while. But I'm going to...
This week on the Kayak Fishing Show,
whoops,
we're in the Amazon.
Actually started a little bit quicker than I meant to. Anyway, so yeah, this is Kayak Fishing Show, season 11, episode 3. And I hope you enjoy it. And please, again, ask any questions, comments, anything like that. and I'll be happy to answer your questions. Even if it has nothing to do with this episode, if you just have a general kayak fishing question, I am always happy to answer those questions as well. So let's get her going.
It's on, baby. We are chasing after big peacock bass and having a great time. Stick around. It's an awesome show.
And that was me turning down the volume. Just out of curiosity, can you guys still hear me? I turned down the volume of the video. I think you can still hear me. So give me a thumbs up or a comment or something if you can still hear me talking. Also getting a notification that I've got a very weak signal. So I hope this whole thing is working okay for you.
The Kayak Fishing Show is brought to you by Seagar, the inventor and perfecter of fluorocarbon fishing lines and leaders.
It's a mission to get here. It took me 30 hours of travel to get here, but totally worth it. Peacock Bass Expeditions got it really dialed in. They met us at the airport, guided us through the small airport to get on a float plane, and once you're here, you really don't have to touch a thing. It's full service. They're grabbing your gear for you. They're dealing with your rods. They really took great care of everybody on this trip. Well, we got our first afternoon.
I will say, like I said, they take great care of you. Fly fishing, bringing your own gear is a great way to go. If you're bringing your own regular conventional stuff, as I also did, highly recommend bringing travel rods. Normally, I just bring full-size rods in a rod tube, but for trips like this, where you're having to get into smaller planes, float planes, and all that, if you can bring travel rods, stuff that breaks down nice and small, it makes things a lot easier.
Here on the Amazon. Flew in on a float plane this morning, and now we're going to spend the rest of the afternoon kind of sorting this thing out, getting a feel for this fishery. I'm really excited. Someplace I've always my entire life wanted to come and fish, so I'm just so stoked about this trip. Look how pretty that fish is. Hit right up on the bank, wrapped around a tree. Whew. Good fun, man. I can imagine what a big one's like. That was tough.
I was about to trade the fly rod for the bait caster for a little bit, just to try those new propeller baits that we got. And the guy took the rod and he's actually tuning the propeller. It's actually pretty neat. Not something I would have thought about doing. You know, I just took it out of the box. I was gonna use it. Gracias. We are in the Amazon fishing for peacock bass and anything else exotic that wants to bite. We are in the Caudés River, which is a tributary of the Rio Negro River, the main artery feeding the Amazon. I always wanted to come to Brazil to fish, and I have a lot of friends that have done it in the past, and I heard the stories about the size and the way these fish fight. For many people, it's a once-in-a-lifetime experience, and it's definitely a must-do if you're a serious angler.
I'm just working around all these trees. The nice thing is they're fairly straight up and down, so you can kind of cast in between them. We're hearing a really big fish or something back up inside the trees. It's just like crashing in there. Wow, exciting.
Well, today was first day here. We fished half a day. Jim got a few fish. I got a barracuda-looking freshwater fish. Anyway, so we're gonna call it quits before it gets too dark, and gonna get something to eat. Hopefully, I'm starving.
That guy is a predator right there.
As a wolf fish.
We are having some fresh piranha.
Yeah, I heard piranha was good, and it is amazing. So good. There's still more meat to be found, though.
If you look at this face and the way that mouth opens, it's freaking alien right there.
Piranha was very good to eat. Like I said, eating whole fish like that was great. We had had it on the boat. We also did it as a kind of a shore lunch.
The Kayak Fishing Show is brought to you by
wonderful stuff.
Seagar, the inventor and perfecter of fluorocarbon fishing lines and leaders. Ray Marine, simply superior. Jackson Kayak, outdoor to the core. Yak Attack, make it yours. Kokatat, manufacturing paddle gear in Arcata, California for more than 50 years. Werner, a great fishing paddle is a great paddling paddle, and that's a Werner paddle.
It's our first full day. What a dream come true. Seriously, this is checking off a box here, man. Come into the Amazon and fishing in these beautiful waters. Let's hope we can get some big fish. Oh, that followed me right there. He just came up twice. So one thing I'm finding really beneficial where I'm getting most of my hits is way back underneath these branches. So having a topwater lure like this one, this TA crossover, this thing skips really well. So I can shoot it in low, kind of at the front of the branches, and it'll hit and skip and go all the way back. So it takes a little bit of practice getting that technique so it hits and skips. But that's pretty much where I've been getting all my hits, is when I've really shot it all the way back. Or when I throw it over a limb like that. There's a lot of times where you get these lures wrapped around these branches, and if you sit there and just go real slow and tug on it, you usually end up catching. But if you get it right where you can see it, where it's just over the branch, and then give it a quick snap, it'll come right out. So if you go slow, the hook's gonna catch on the top of the branch. So you get it so it's just dangling, and then give it a quick jerk, and it just kind of pendulums it out. And a lot of times you'll get it out of there. Believe me, I've had a lot of practice. Oh, I launched that into the tree. Oh, man.
Casting accuracy was key.
When you're casting into heavy structure and branches and everything else as much as we are, your leader eventually gets whittled down. So I make myself a longer leader and then just keep chopping it down, because you want to retie. It's getting frayed up. So got my Seagar Premier fluorocarbon, and it really holds up well to this. So because it's such heavy cover, I'm using 50 pound. I wish I had a cast counter, because man, we've made a lot of casts today. Yeah. I think one thing that's really important when you're fighting these fish is having your equipment set up right. You really actually want to be fishing a pretty tight drag, because these things will run up around a branch. There's no reason to give them line, because the kayak is moving so easily. So many of these times I've hooked a fish and I've wound myself right to the tree that they're wrapping themselves in. You need to be able to wind fast, keep tension on that thing, and try to get out of there as quick as possible. Don't let them have any line. Wow, you can see what I mean, how you get pulled into here. You better be fishing a tight drag if you hook into a big fish. There's no way you're gonna land it, because this is a small fish. I'm just gonna do a quick release on him. There we go. But I toss this way back in this pocket and lock to drag and just grind on it. He still got wrapped up in a branch over here. Tight drag, wind fast. It makes these small fish really fun. Oh, oh! Being attacked by bees here. So yeah, fish really heavy drag, high gear ratio reel that you can really wind on that thing. And like I said, you're pretty much gonna wind yourself to the fish. Geez, go away. I don't know, they say there's a bee shortage in the world. There's not a bee shortage here. Damn it. Freaking bugs.
It seems like the moment you get here, the moment you go out to fish, you get 2 bees assigned to each person.
It's the weirdest thing is as soon as you slow down, you immediately have a couple of them buzzing around your head. And they generally don't sting you, they don't do anything, but they're right here around your head driving you nuts.
Yeah, look. Look at that bee right there. Right there. Those things seriously were so annoying. I mean, just to have it buzzing around right in front of your face constantly or in your ears, and you get out the paddle and smack them out of the air sometimes. And you'd end up with one more. You never had a lot, but there's always like one or maybe two.
These fish, they're very aggressive, but they're also snobs. We would get a bite and a big blow up, and you know, I would pick up the fly sometimes and land it back down, and it's like the fish was never there. They won't come back.
That was that same spot I got blown up on earlier. Come on. How can they miss it? Woo! Well, I've had a little bit of frustration because I've had a lot of blow-ups that they just weren't coming up and actually getting this thing in their mouth. This guy committed to it. Another peacock bass, but a different species. So you can see this one, unlike the other one that had the couple of big spots, this one's covered with small spots. What an exciting fish to catch when they're hitting that topwater like that. Settle down. Ooh, what a pretty fish these are. That light on there. Beautiful fish. Tiny, but beautiful.
So there are 3 different species. There is the paca, which is kind of like the darker peacock bass with the dots. And there's the butterfly, which is the most common one. And azul, that's actually the one with the stripes. We saw a lot more butterfly and paca than the last one I mentioned, but luckily enough, we actually landed some quality fish, some good fish, a lot of them.
All right. Good fun, variety. At least they're coming out, seem a little more aggressive now.
These fish, once they bite, they're freight trains. I mean, they fight hard. They want to get you in the branches, they want to get you in the trees and get that fly out of their mouth. They're very smart.
Well, it's not as big as I thought. He hit like a freight train though. Another butterfly peacock bass. Right up under those branches. Skipped it up in there. Woo! They're tough fish, man. I can imagine when you catch a really big one, they gotta be really tough because they love to run right back around those branches. We chose to bring the Jackson Kayak Coosa HD. I don't think we could have picked a better boat. It's got every feature you would need for this fishery. I mean, it's maneuverable, it's standable, and it paddles pretty good. I'm really stoked we brought this boat on this trip.
Well, we're doing a little change of lures right now. I'm getting some advice from the guide. I was throwing some poppers on fly this morning. Not very productive, but only had good action. but for some reason it didn't seem to want to get a bite. So I'm gonna switch to the bait caster for a little while, just to hopefully catch a fish, boost up my confidence, and continue through the day. And it looks like he's gonna pick a jig. He thinks that's a good option right now. I always like to mingle with the guides, the locals. I like to learn the language as much as I can. I like to learn about their culture, what they like, where they go, what they eat, what kind of music they listen to, how they dance. And that to me is almost as important as the fishing. Obrigado or obrigado? Obrigado. 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 And I can go to a lot of places and fish and land a lot of fish. But if at the end of the day I don't talk to anybody and I don't learn anything new about people, that's just not enjoyable to me. And that's the kind of thing I like to include in all of my trips, and I call that the organic experience. You know, you want to make sure that you learn as much as you can in a very short period of time and make your trip worth it.
There you go. I guess I made the right decision by switching.
Well, we're kind of wrapping up our first day on the water. Our first full day on the water, anyway. And a little bit of a learning curve, trying to figure out what works for us. And man, really working on casting accuracy, because you got to get your cast right up underneath these tree limbs, and we've caught a lot of trees. Missed a bunch of fish, but I've also landed quite a few. So super fun day, man. I mean, we're in the Amazon. I mean, what more could we ask? Yeah, that is very much like a barracuda, isn't it? Look at those teeth. Damn, he's slimy.
Just like a barracuda. I don't know what those fish were, but they were very much like a barracuda. Same set of teeth, same body shape, same slime. It was interesting. We mainly caught peacocks. We caught some wolffish, caught some of those barracuda. I recall us catching some
Kayak Fishing Show
piranha.
was brought to you by
We tried to fish soft plastics. Don't do that, because the piranha just destroy them in
a great fishing
2
paddle
seconds.
is a great paddling paddle, and that's a Werner paddle. Seagar, the inventor and perfecter of fluorocarbon fishing lines and leaders. Yak Attack, make it yours. Standard Horizon, nothing takes to the water like Standard Horizon. Siegler Reels, delivering the highest quality fishing reels, period.
And remember, if you have any questions or comments, shoot them my way. For whatever reason, we're not getting much in the way of comments today, which is unusual, but Rusty said something about you're using a pedal drive. I was not using a pedal drive. We were using paddle kayaks at this destination. Pedal drive probably would have been kind of nice to kind of back pedal yourself out. You know, the drives on Jackson where you can just pedal backwards to get yourself out. That probably would have been pretty nice, instead of getting dragged into stuff while you're fighting a fish. But yeah, these were the Coosa HD. This is the kayak we were using on this trip by Jackson Kayak.
Well, today we brought the kayaks with the boat and dragged them for a couple of hours upriver away from the lodge. So very remote, not that the other places.
Speaking of the fact that we're using the Coosa HD, those things towed behind the boat really well. He at one point was just hauling butt, and these things would just go skidding across the surface, but stayed in a straight line. A lot of times when you tow the boats, they want to zigzag, or they'll come down a trough and get really squirrely, but these things just towed really well. And like I said, we went way upriver from the houseboat that we were on, and just to investigate different areas. It's super fun. Just like I said, just overall great adventure.
Weren't remote, but we are now way up here, and trying to find a place where maybe there's some bigger fish that want to play. I made one cast on my Soft Magic swimmer, and the tail got removed. Likely a piranha. I just made a second cast, and it bit off more of the tail. So now I've just got like a head and they're not getting anywhere near the hook. So I don't think I'll be throwing soft plastics up here. Oh, here we go. That's slow sinking. What's this one? One of the biggest lessons I can share with you from this trip to Brazil is the importance of using high quality line and leader, particularly when you're dealing with the tough fish you have here in the Amazon. This is one of these weird freshwater barracuda looking things. Many of these fish are very toothy and you're in really heavy cover. And that's why I've been using Seagar's Smackdown braid in 50-pound test. And then I use a top shot of 50-pound Seagar gold label fluorocarbon. You're just not gonna find a tougher or more abrasion resistant fishing line. You know, starting off the first day's fishing, a lot of blow-ups, a lot of misses. I didn't want to go away from this walk the dog lure because I was getting blow-ups. So what could I do to try and get them to stick? And basically what I was doing is, instead of doing a real fast walk the dog, I slowed it down, a little bit longer pull, which gives you a longer sweep. So you're staying in the strike zone a little bit longer. And the other thing I'm doing is, normally when I walk the dog, if I get hit, I will just keep walking the dog. If it hits it and misses, I will just keep walking the dog. And I wasn't getting return hits. So what I started doing was, if I got hit and missed, I would then pause and just let it sit there for just like a 1 count, and then start walking the dog again. And then I was getting those secondary blow-ups. So you just got to vary your retrieve, try different stuff. You know, those little changes have really helped me today.
That was a little bit better one. This was really cool.
Well, we just stopped for lunch, and since we went so far into the jungle, we kind of drifted halfway. We're at a point here that they have prepared. They're gonna hang some hammocks, and that's for us to take a nap after we eat. We caught a peacock bass earlier today, nice size, so that's gonna be lunch. So this is as good as it gets. Taking a nap in the Amazon forest, surrounded by all this beauty. Having a beer, of course.
Man, you don't eat this good at restaurants. I don't know about the rest of this part, but what you are supposed to eat is their face. Get this little giblet right out of their cheek. Delicious.
Now, as far as the guides go, these guys are impressive. The way they know these rivers. I mean, there were some times when we fished all day and it got dark on us and we were heading back and we were miles and miles away, and these guys, you know, riding their boats, getting us back to the lodge in the dark with absolute confidence was really mind-blowing.
My Amazon adventure is awesome. We were having a great time. Catching a bunch of fish. We still haven't caught the big ones, but we've surely made up for it with some quantity and a lot of blow-ups, and you know, it's all been top water, which is always exciting. So cool. I mean, what an amazing place. We're just out here. I mean, you don't even see planes go over. You know, it seems like everywhere you normally would go, if nothing else, you see airplanes going over. And just nothing. We go out and fish all day and don't see another person or another boat. I mean, this is what dreams are made of. Anybody who is adventurous at all, I mean, would say, it's like, God, it'd be a dream to be able to go to the Amazon. So it really has been a dream come true to come here and experience this incredible place.
Yep, that was definitely a trip to remember, and I mean, I've been lucky. I've been able to fish a lot of places around the world, and this was, one of those places you definitely put on your list that you just need to go to. And it was amazing. Like I said, I fished the Amazon, I fished the Nile, the Arctic Circle, and I mean so many other places. And definitely, if you have the opportunity to get down there and go for the Peacock Bass, and of course they get some of the big ones. There are areas where they get those big arapaima and all that, and so many awesome fish to catch. Rudy says, "Don't fall in." Yeah, there's a lot of piranha, but we actually went swimming in the river, and there was no issues. You just had to know where you are. There are caiman, but I don't think you got to worry about caiman either. So, intimidating to be on the food chain when you're fishing. Yeah, a little bit. Don't hang your toes in the water. Like I said, the soft plastics. It was amazing. If you throw something else out, or you're not getting hit, but you throw a soft plastic out there, they would hit it. But it was just gone. I mean, they would just chew up that soft plastic like that. So you got to fish hard baits, or chunks of meat, and that'll get you piranhas. I know I've caught piranha that way on another trip down there when I was just down there for a few days. Oh, my wife says the candy roo. Yeah, be careful about going swimming in the. Keep your underwear on. If you're not sure what a candy roo is, look it up. It's you'd think twice about going in the water for sure. So anyway, I mean, it's weird. I mean, I don't know if I'm looking at the numbers just up on the screen. This didn't, obviously, like I said, Facebook does not send out our videos out to hardly any of our followers. And I can see that by the numbers up in the top corner there. And very few comments today. So this is going to be a short one. I do appreciate you all being here. I will be back here on Thursday with another episode of the Kayak Fishing Show. And then again, like I said, I'll have the next couple weeks off because I will be on the road. So if you are going out fishing, you know what? Actually, I watched a video today. Somebody shared on our team Facebook page, Jackson Kayak's team Facebook page. And much props to this gentleman who saved a young kid out in the middle of a lake or river. It was hard to really tell. And got him up and kind of dragged him to shore. Didn't really see what the backstory was, but it was weird. This kid's dad was like nowhere to be seen. He had just kid had fallen off his boat or something, and the dad just kept going. And the kid was out in the middle of the lake screaming. Luckily, he did have a PFD on, and luckily this kayak angler was nearby. He paddled up and helped him get to shore. So just a really weird situation. But the whole dad, they had him on camera after the fact, and his attitude was really weird. Like I told the guys, if this guy's wife sees the video later, she's gonna kick his ass because it was just a weird situation and could have ended up very, very badly with that kid in the water for quite a while. So anyway, much props to him. And like I said, I don't have it here, so I can't really tell you even where to go look for it, but it was pretty interesting stuff. If I find a link to it, maybe I'll share it later. So Rudy says, what's my bucket list for exotic locations? Patagonia. I'd love to get back down to Brazil and go for the golden dorado. That's really one of the fish that is up high on my list of fish that I really want to get someday is a golden dorado. They kind of look like a big ass salmonid. Their head shape, their body shape is very much like a salmon or a big trout. But they fight very hard, and they can bite a lure in half. So super tough fish. A lot of other places I'd like to go. The DR. There's some amazing places for sailfish and that sort of thing. Oh, And my wife is telling us her list. Actually, I was supposed to go to Portugal right before COVID started. We had a trip all lined up to go to Portugal, and I had met a really interesting gentleman while I was in Costa Rica that owned some restaurants in Portugal, and he invited us to come out. And then COVID started, and that all just didn't happen. Argentina, actually, my wife says Argentina as well, and that is where I met where the golden dorado are. So, yeah, so you can come on both of those trips, dear. Let's go. All right, everybody. Well, again, we'll be back here on Tuesday. I appreciate you all joining me. I appreciate you all sharing our videos. Until next time, if you are going on the water, please remember, always wear your PFD and keep your paddle right side up. Y'all take care.